Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Senior Fellow at the Media Research Center. There have been a couple of quotes out there that I just want to share with you all and ask you, what do you think about them? It was on April the 2nd of 2020 when Representative James Clyburn, Democrat of South Carolina, said this. He said, "This pandemic gives Democrats a tremendous opportunity to restructure things to fit our vision." See, Nancy Pelosi had placed Mr. Clyburn in charge of the House Pandemic Oversight Committee. But you have to ask yourself, why does this pandemic give Democrats a tremendous opportunity? And what do they want to restructure? What are these things? What do they mean fit our vision? I think they should be more so concerned about Americans and our health. And then just last week, at one of his news conferences, his press conference, Governor Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo of New York, was asked by someone, when do we get back to normal? When do things go back to where they used to be? And Governor Cuomo responded with something that should really be very disconcerting and chilling for all of us.
In terms of when we get back, I don't think we ever get back to normal. I think this is one of the new normals now in public health, like we go through the environment, like we've gone through the economy. It's a new normal. And it's going to depend on what we do. That's why this is such an important period for government and a political discussion.
And so I thought about this as hopefully you had a very nice Easter weekend and a great Resurrection Day. But the fact that we had churches that were closed on Easter, Passover was this past week also, and we had synagogues that were closed. Is this part of the new normal that the Democrats see in restructuring things to fit their vision? See, I find it very disconcerting, even more so, that the governor of Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear, would say that we're going to record the license plates of individuals that are doing drive-through communions on Easter Sunday.
It's that any individual that's going to participate in a mass gathering of any type that we know about this weekend, we are going to record license plates and provide it to local health departments. The local health departments are going to come to your door with an order for you to be quarantined for 14 days.
Or even think about Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, who came out and said that, well, gardening activities and lawn service or doing your lawn, those are now non-essential. You'll get in trouble for doing it.
Don't be surprised if you see entire categories of merchandise that are roped off. Things like gardening supplies, home improvement items like paint or carpeting and flooring. It is no surprise the governor is extending the stay-at-home order.
Now is not the time to pull back at all. It is the time to intensify.
But some of the new restrictions on things like gardening supplies are being criticized as lacking in common sense.
So what are these new normals? Is the new normal that we lose more of our constitutional individual liberties and rights and freedoms? Right now, there's a lawsuit against another Democrat governor out in New Mexico, Governor Michelle Grisham, who has said that gun stores and gun ranges have to be closed. They're not essential.
Gun groups are filing a lawsuit against the governor after the closures of gun shops and ranges. Those businesses had to close their doors after the governor deemed them as non-essential. Now the NRA and others are suing the governor, the Department of Health, and Secretary Kathleen Kunkel. The lawsuit claims all three violated the 2nd and 14th Amendments for not considering firearms stores as essential.
Maybe that's part of her restructuring things to fit their vision. Maybe that's part of that new normal. See, when I think about the new normal, just imagine this. Some of the young people that are now going to be graduating from high school or even graduating from college. And what have they known their lives? Think about from 9/11 to today. See, I understand that we have to do things that are necessary to protect the American people, the public. And we should take all the precautions that are necessary right now to ensure that we do not allow the spread of this COVID-19. But what I continue to see from 9/11 to now is that with every threat, with every crisis, it seems that the new normal becomes just a little more loss of our constitutional liberties and freedoms. Coming out of 9/11, well, we created the FISA court system, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. So now we have secret courts that can go out and grant warrants for surveillance without you knowing about it. And we have seen what has happened when that power of the FISA court system falls into the wrong hands. And innocent Americans, to include a duly elected president, can have surveillance conducted upon them. That's just a violation of, that Fourth Amendment thing. And then we also look at all of these closures of our churches, people saying that churches are non-essential. But yet, in Michigan, for instance, you can still go out and buy marijuana.
Governor Whitmer's shelter-in-place order has closed non-essential businesses, but an emerging Michigan industry is allowed to stay open.
So why is it that our freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof is now non-essential? Is that part of restructuring things to fit a certain ideological, political vision? I don't accept that as the new normal. I don't accept it that we have governors that are going around, or even local county officials or mayors going around saying that this thing here is non-essential. Gun stores are essential because they are part of your Second Amendment right. And the thing that we have always seen with every time that the progressive socialist left wants to implement or institute or mandate or force a new normal all across the world, we know that that important constitutional right, that Second Amendment right, somehow is not part of that new normal. It's not essential. And so tyranny can rule. See, in this COVID-19 crisis, just take a minute to think about how easy it was for Americans to surrender many of their civil liberties. I understand that we want to do the right thing. We want to keep people safe, and we want to keep people healthy. But safety and healthy starts with each and every one of us first and foremost. When we turn it over to other people who see this as a tremendous opportunity to restructure things to fit their vision, then the next thing you know, First Amendment rights, peaceably assemble, which is another First Amendment right, they're lost because now they tell us you will go into forced isolation. I don't want to see the new normal be a person arrested while paddleboarding out in the middle of the ocean all alone. I don't want to see a new normal become a woman that just wants to get out and drive in her own car on the public roads that her taxpayer dollars pay for, get a citation because she was out in her own car, just driving, alone. I don't want to see the new normal being a person dragged off of a bus by officers because they didn't have a mask. I don't want to see us being fined $1,000 or in Virginia, $2,500 if you try to have a church service.
In Virginia, it is now a criminal offense to attend church services of more than 10 people. Governor Ralph Northam's executive order went into effect this week. It makes any non-essential gathering a misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail or a fine of $2,500.
The new normal is not about liberty and freedom, if we really sit back and think about it. The new normal, as we have seen, as we face these different threats or crises, it always ends up with us losing just a little bit more of our individual rights, freedoms, and liberties. I ask that you join me in standing against what some people believe will be the new normal. I ask you to join me in standing up against and making sure that we don't allow people to restructure things to fit their vision. I ask you to join me in making sure that people don't use every crisis because they don't want to waste an opportunity.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
In the end, it does come back to what Benjamin Franklin said. those who would surrender or give up essential liberty for temporary safety will in the end not have liberty nor safety. That's not the new normal. That's not how we live in America. Maybe that's how some people tried to do in the Soviet Union, in China, in East Germany, in Venezuela, in Cuba, in North Korea. But this proposed new normal is not the American way.